So I want to talk a little bit about how to encourage and amplify student voices in your classroom. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about are things specifically I do for my math classrooms, but these should work in any content areas as well. So the first thing I do for each class I teach before the semester even starts is to administer a questionnaire to my students over Canvas or whatever your LMS is. And this serves a couple of purposes. First, it allows them to get off on the right foot and get some positive momentum going as far as their grades are concerned in a very low stakes way. So they get full credit just for answering the questions. They can even opt out of them if they don't feel comfortable answering them. But I really want them to get used to very early on having a dialogue with me that goes both ways. So I want to know, the first 4 questions are about the things that make them tick. So both as they pertain to math or otherwise. And I want to know what things have worked for them in the past. And question 4 is particularly important because I need to know if they have any access needs or if there are things about them that help them learn better. If they have some kind of learning disability or learning difference, those kind of things will be shared with me as their teacher. But if they have other things that are going on that are going to impact them, maybe they don't have reliable internet access, or maybe they work full time, or maybe they have to take care of a family member. Any number of things that wouldn't necessarily show up that would trigger accommodations, but that still would impact their access to class materials, their ability to be successful and to get their full experience out of the class. So this will help you engage with your students who have some adversity that their classmates may not. Question 5 I also feel is important because the first 4 questions are me specifically asking them questions. The 5th one is an opportunity for them to get to know me in any way that they'd like to. And I really think this is important for setting the stage for our class being a partnership and a dialogue. Even though, yes, I am the authority figure, I do not want to rule with an iron fist. I want this to be a partnership where we, help each other out. Finally, group work is important to get students involved. One thing I have done in the past, especially when doing group work with students who don't necessarily know each other well, is to dictate their team roles in ways that are equitable and fair. So this is something I've adapted from a high school where I used to teach. Basically, what we start off doing is I have 4 students choose one of their 4 favorite restaurants. The small high school where I used to work, the first year I taught there, their lunches were furnished by a different local restaurant every day of the week, and 4 of those were Rubio's, Panda Express, Chick-fil-A, and Pizza Hut. I don't tell students why they're choosing those things, but they learn very quickly after that they are basically choosing what their job is going to be for the project. And this serves a couple of reasons. Pedagogically speaking, this gives them something specific to do, so they're not just, all right, here's the task. What do we do? How do we all do it? This gives them a specific role, something they are specifically going to be responsible for at the end of the task. From an equity standpoint, it prevents people from falling into their, metaphorically speaking, typecast roles. In situations like this, it's very easy for the young women in classes to kind of fall into the secretarial roles, either because of long existing gender norms, or the way it presents in a lot of my classrooms. It's like, oh, you have the best handwriting, you should do this. It also prevents students who are more likely to dominate your classroom's population, maybe the young white men, from kind of taking over and doing everything. So it gives everyone it divides the labor up in a fair and equitable way, and it allows people to do a wide number of things. Finally, be very open in encouraging advocacy. Give your students lots of opportunities, and basically encourage, borderline require them to tell you what they think. And this is not just about the ideas that specifically pertain to the content you're teaching. It can be about the way classes run. So ask for student input. The way this usually looks in my classroom is, you know, say, hey, do you think this question is fair, or should we let go of it? What kind of things do you want to talk about? So I start most of my class periods with, opening up to the room. Are there any questions that you want to talk about from the homework? Are there any concepts you want to talk about that don't seem fair? Are there any deadlines that you don't think are reasonable? And if students are willing to share those things with you, make sure you follow suit. Make sure you are willing to consider their suggestions. And, most specifically as it pertains to our students, be flexible with deadlines. As opposed to other places I've taught, a lot of our students have full-time jobs or nearly full-time jobs. And sometimes the due dates you set are just not manageable for them. If they ask for an extension, be willing to give one. And if you're the kind of teacher that doesn't usually give extensions, reflect on why that is. If your reason doesn't really go beyond deadlines, then it probably should be okay for you to move it for them. Provided they have a good reason and they're not kind of doing this on a very consistent basis. But be compassionate and understanding with students. Sometimes life just gets in the way, or sometimes the motivation is just not there. We all deserve a little grace, and that includes the person teaching the class. I think this is especially important for math, but I imagine it's important for other content areas as well. Be open with the fact that, even though you're the expert in the thing you're teaching, you once struggled with it. You once had to learn it, and you once had to get over the hurdles that you're encouraging students to get over themselves. Ensure them that what they're doing can be learned, and it is attainable by literally every person in that classroom. From an equity standpoint, there are, just sticking with STEM because that's where my experience is. There are certain segments of the population, men in general, especially white and Asian men, where those people of those descriptions dominate the landscape. And no, that's not that doesn't happen in industry. That happens much earlier. Be conscious of the fact that if you have people in your class outside of that description, they may believe less in their ability to succeed. So the onus falls on us as teachers to impress upon them that no, they indeed can succeed. Everybody in there is capable of it, but you have to be their partner and let them know that, it's not an inborn thing. Success in the class is no one's birthright, and everyone can get there with some support. Everyone's going to need that support. Be willing to be willing to share that support, and almost more importantly, be willing to share the fact that you needed that support at one time yourself.